So we're always experimenting, trying new things, and we thought we could make some rum from sugar beet molasses that we can get here in Alberta from Taber. Got a hold of some people at the Alberta Sugar Beet Growers Association and tried to find a way to get some of their molasses in a bulk form. And it was a hard thing to do because they're used to filling up 55,000 liter tankers with this stuff. And we were looking for just a few thousand liters to do some experimenting with. So our welder Sean got his gooseneck trailer and we threw it on his 1 ton, and we had 6 of these totes, and away we went down to Taber, spent the night down there and did some bonding. Told them we were going to try making rum from their local molasses, and they were intrigued by it. So we got over to the sugar beet plant. They'd never filled up something that small, and they didn't think it would work, and we had to convince them that, give us a shot at this. So thankfully they did, because we got about 6 tons of molasses loaded onto that trailer. Sean's truck was sitting a little low. It was a lot of weight for that 1 ton, that's for sure. But we made sure we took some back roads on the way back. Not something I recommend, but we did make it back here, and that molasses made the most amazing rum. This rum has become our 3rd best-selling product, so now we have to get it in bigger volumes, and rather than trying to sneak home on back roads, which isn't really a good idea, we now get tankers of it delivered. Usually try and only make our sugar beet rum in the summertime, because that old saying about slower than molasses in January is true. It's really difficult stuff to work with in the wintertime. When it ferments, it has to be very warm to ferment, almost 40 degrees Celsius. Otherwise, the type of yeast we use doesn't work. That type of yeast is used to being in Jamaica, not in northern Alberta.
This stuff behind me is the load of molasses we got here a couple weeks ago. Beet molasses that we bring in is used for our product called Brum. Brum is a beet rum. Right now we make 3 types. We have our normal Brum, we make a white rum or white Brum that is called Ghost, and then we make our Bucking Bull spiced rum.
One of the first places that put our liquor in was Castro Raceway. They're only about 3 miles down the road here. It's actually located exactly across the road from the field that we grow our wheat in for our vodka. They get a lot of visitors through there every year. They serve our garlic Caesars, they serve our double-double. They've just built a tiki tent bar set up so they can specialize with our cocktails in there. So got some neat stuff happening over there. We try and support them as much as possible too through cross media promotion. They have open nights where you can bring your car down there and race them too. So I don't have a car that's good enough to race, but I got runners. We went over to Castro recently. My friend Bradley Tucker came along. I wanted to introduce him to them because he's active in, as well as being a country musician, he's also active in the auto industry a bit with Garage Shots magazine. And so I wanted him to meet the owners of Castro Raceway. Hey Rob, how's it going?
Very well, Mike.
Good to see you again.
Yeah,
This is a friend of mine, Bradley Tucker.
Bradley.
He's a local country musician. He also does some work with Garage Shots, a magazine, so thought it might be a good introduction for you to meet him. And they do some fantastic photography, actually.
It's all hot rod based, but again, we always make sure we've got a feature in there of the racers because that's the roots of hot rodding.
We have drag racing all next weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We have the road course Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We have 2 oval events Friday night, Saturday night. We have like 12 events next weekend.
Wow, fantastic.
So all different. So it's.
So those people are going to be thirsty.
I hope so. This is our lounge, and this is one of the places we sell. We have a new tiki hut that we're setting up.
Ah, very cool. I've got some new products to show you. That's why we're here today. So I brought along some new things. I know you've got the double-double already, but we make this espresso vodka. That double mixes really nice with the espresso vodka.
Okay, and I've heard of the espresso.
You betcha. So we use coffee beans from a local coffee roaster, Transcend Coffee, and you throw 1 ounce of that with 2 ounces of this and shake it on ice. Kind of tastes like a milkshake almost kind of thing. So very popular. Hot or cold, it'll work. Yeah. We've got our raspberry vodka
That seems to be real popular.
with
We're seeing
lemonade
it.
in it for a summer drink.
And we have our own lemonade truck.
Oh, yeah.
Hard lemonade. It's real lemon. It's real lemonade.
Yes.
You know,
So the real thing.
it's a real.
Real lemon juice, real raspberries. That's a good combination right there. Absolutely. I think I've brought our sugar beet rum over to show you before, the Brum. And we've just released a spice version of it too. So spiced rum tends to sell a little bit more in the summertime too. And then the last thing that we've got new here is a traditional London dry gin. You betcha. And lots of summer cocktails that can be made with that for sure. Absolutely. Thank you very much for your ongoing support.
Well, thank you. You guys
You bet.
nice and local. It's good to support local.
We appreciate
you're
it.
just down the street from us, so it's awesome.
You betcha. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, thank you.
Let's go find some race.
Figured it'd be a good idea to have a race, so we lined up on the starting block. He cheated though, he took off before the gun. It looks like he won at the end, but I think it's the camera angle at the finish line probably showed that he was ahead of me. Really, if it had been lined up properly, I definitely was ahead of him.
I did destroy poor old Jeff at Castro Raceway. Man, that was a little less than an 8th mile, but I had to throw it the chute. And if you watch that, you'll see in slow-mo that I got to deploy just in time of coming up on the wall fast.
Well, that was a good day racing, Jeff. I'm sorry you lost. I'm going to take off my my track tires. They were high traction units, but I got my.
What do you got on there?
I got my drinking socks on.
I can't believe Bradley showed up here with these ugly Pilsner socks on. If you're in a distillery, you can be wearing socks appropriate to the distillery. So my sister-in-law makes these fantastic socks. We sell them in our store. They talk about our garlic vodka and our double and our whiskey and that sort of thing. So now he's rocking the right socks. This is what you should have on there. And this is what you should be drinking.
Hey, International Caesar Day is tomorrow.
It's coming up. Garlic vodka, Caesar.
That's good stuff.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming out.
Absolutely, we'll race again.
Yeah, I'm
That's
gonna
what happens.
practice.
No more racing for pigs, racing for drinks now.
There you go. So when we first started, we told people we started a distillery, and they said, "Oh, what kind of beer do you make?" So it was a challenge to explain to people that you could have craft spirits as well as craft beer. Now, when we go into a place and try and get our spirits on their bar, the craft beer guys have actually done a lot of our work for us already. You know, they've been out there for about 5 years ahead of us, and they've kind of paved the way for craft spirits afterwards. So I definitely thank the fellas in the craft beer industry. They've made our job a little bit easier getting into bars and restaurants. Arcadia is a small pub-style restaurant on 124th Street. The owner, Darren, approached us because he really wanted to carry local spirits. He was already carrying local craft beer, exclusively actually. He has a very community-minded business model, the local pub kind of flair. One of our biggest supporters from day one, continues to support us, continues to promote our products, and we want to do the same for him as much as possible. They're one of those little secret places that are in the community that if you're not from the community, you might not know about, but it's just a hidden gem, Arcadia on 124th Street. Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you. How's it going?
Good. Awesome. Hey, it's looking good in here. You're still getting live music acts?
Sometimes
Yeah.
we do lots of events, so the
Yeah.
comedy, the
Your trivia that you have all the
karaoke
time.
trivias,
Absolutely,
you know,
yeah.
it's-
I came here empty-handed today. I
Yeah.
apologize. I
worries.
was driving here. I'm like, oh, I forgot to bring this booze. So
I got some empties for you.
I've got a spiced rum now that I want to bring you a
Okay.
bottle of, and we've got our whiskey now. So we've
Right.
only got our whiskey and cilantro and chive, and that's it right
Okay.
now. So I'd like you to be the second guys to
Yeah,
have that.
cool.
Yeah, for sure. Now, when you started, were you straight up vegetarian menu at the beginning? Vegan menu. Yeah.
Vegetarian.
Okay.
And we're actually making some big changes here in July. We're actually adding some meat to them.
You are. So that is a big change for you guys.
Yeah.
What's the reasoning? Just more variety?
It's what people want.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I'm just listening to people, what they want. So we're doing that, changing up the benches,
Yeah.
putting chairs in there, putting some high tops,
Okay. Yeah.
stuff like that. So
Yeah, lots of changes. Really nice to highlight Arcadia Restaurant. Darren over there, he works hard at what he does. The small mom and pop shops need support from customers. Get away from the chains. You get in there and you have such a unique experience. We're really happy. He only carries craft beer. He only carries craft spirits. He's been a huge support of us since the day we opened, actually. You know, instant connection. We're both big Oilers fans.
Be More, we did a collab with Town Square. It's the Be More Kind New England Session Ale.
Yeah.
So $1 from each pint is goes into a fund where we supply meals. I go there and we serve meals, and then with other money I make from raffles on cask nights or other nights where I just say, hey, $1 from this, and then I go out and buy like water and something.
I see a lot of your social media posts where you're saying, it's hot this week.
Yeah.
If you can, stop off and drop stuff down to the Boyle Street Mission.
For sure,
Yeah,
like even if you drop it off here, I'll bring it.
yeah, it's perfect.
So-
Yeah.
A huge amount of respect for Darren because of the amount of work that he does with the homeless and the Boyle Street Mission. He's continually taking donations and getting campaigns organized to help support them. That's the kind of community involvement that a small local business always seems to do that maybe some of the bigger companies don't.
When you're in a business in a community, you need to be doing something, you know?
Giving back, absolutely.
You're
Yeah.
giving back, you have a responsibility.
Yeah.
It's like with you guys supplying, buying the local produce. I mean,
Absolutely, yeah.
there's only so much, I do that with this stuff, but try and give back more,
Yeah, you betcha. We're really lucky. The building that we're in here that is owned by the Lehmans, they've got fantastic tenants in here. So anytime we get into any kind of trouble, we just go down the line and talk to the other business owners and see if they can help us out, and we do the same thing for them. So, we got our forklift stuck in the gravel out here. It's a forklift that's not really supposed to go on gravel, but Mike thought it might make it through. It was a little soft and wet, so next thing you know, Ernie down the way who restores cars, he's out there helping with his 1 ton and giving us a pull. So, it's great to have that kind of community around you, and we want to support them back as much as they support us every chance we get.
Grant, I gotta run down and see Ernie and give him a bottle and thank him for helping us haul that forklift out. I'm gonna bring Brad with me. See you in a bit.
See you there.
I knew that Ernie had been restoring hot rods for a long time, but I'd never actually been in his shop.
Hey Ernie, how you doing? Bradley, Ernie.
Very nice to meet you.
And I brought you something for helping get that forklift unstuck the other day. Thank you very much. You betcha. We'll take all the help we can get when we get into something like that. So you got a few projects on the go here.
That is a one of a kind. It's a 1932 Hudson Essex Terraplane.
Never heard of it.
No, most people when they think of a 32, they think of a Ford Coupe,
Yeah.
but this is what a Hudson Essex. So Hudson and Essex were two separate companies.
Okay.
And then they merged and carried both names for a short term. And then after that, Essex disappeared and everything went Hudson.
Hudson after that.
This one here, I had found it and we could not find any parts for it to restore it. So all the fenders had to be remade with English wheels. And the frame we took and we had to use the original frame because we couldn't buy aftermarket. So we just beefed it up, boxed it in, closed all the holes, put lots of cross members in it, put a Ford 9-inch rear end in it, Mustang 2 front end. Wow. 383 stroker.
So it looks like a nice old car, but it drives like a hot rod.
It goes.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
According to the Insurance Bureau of Canada, it's the only one known to exist.
Only one left.
Yeah. There could be one sitting in a field somewhere, but
Amazing. Absolutely
that's the
amazing.
only one known to exist.
Yeah. It was really cool to go down there and see what kind of projects he does. I know some guys that have antique vehicles and everything's original in them. You can't take it on the highway. It doesn't go above 85 kilometers an hour. Issues with breakdowns and that sort of thing. So I'm a big fan of the way Ernie does things where, you've got the antique body there, but everything inside the car is state of the art. So pretty amazing to see the amount of time and energy he puts into doing one of his builds. It keeps him busy. It's good.
And my welder, Sean, and his buddy Brian, have got a car they want to show you.
Okay.
Can we open up your door here?
Sure.
Have them pull it in?
All right.
Even got the right attire on. Sean, this is Ernie.
Ernie, pleased to meet you. How are you?
And this is Brian.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of muscle cars. 64.5 Mustang was kind of the car I always wanted when I was growing up. But then you see some of these older cars from the 30s, 20s, and if you've got a car that's got that kind of vintage to it, but it has modern, modern steering, modern braking, pretty hard not to really be drawn to that kind of car.
It's got climate control, navigation, keyless entry, keyless trunk, It's got almost all the amenities of a 2017 car stuffed in a 63.
If you can't find him, just get something stuck. Ernie will come and help you.
Exactly.
Follow the wild. He hears the stuck thing and he helps.
Well, thanks again for helping us get unstuck the other day. And thanks for showing us around your shop here. Your tour.
Beautiful.
You betcha.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get the bike. Then we'll be back.
Okay, see you shortly. Good to see you. You got her all ready to go?
So excited.
You betcha. Perfect. So you guys have been pretty busy. I'm surprised you had time to get it in.
Yeah, we've been swamped, but we look after you.
Yeah, every time. Let's go and have a look at it.
Okay, perfect.
Right on. Perfect. That was part of my issue. There was an accident ahead of us on the highway. Hammered on the brakes. We slid for probably 65 yards. And we just caught the back corner of the truck in front of us that stopped faster than we did. Bent the crash bars down, pinned my leg, dented the gas tank. So these crash bars look real good. All right, let's fire this baby up. Awesome. Right on. It was running a little rough after we laid it down too, so.
Yeah, it seems to be running fine.
Yes.
But if you think it needs some fine tuning, just let us know.
All right, sounds good. Thank you very much, my friend.
No problem. I just transferred some Brum strip into Shotzi so that we could do a spirit run on it. Spirit run entails separating the different alcohols. So we'll cut off the heads, we'll save the hearts, and we'll cut off the tails. So in this case, there's going to be very little heads cut off because it's just a small volume. And then we can make some nice Brum. Heads are your first alcohol that boils at the lowest temperature when you're doing a spirit run. What they consist of are acetones and methyl hydrates. So those are all poisonous type alcohols. So that part we discard or we store, use it for cleaning and disinfecting later. Then the hearts will flow, the hearts being the pure ethanol. Very sweet tasting. In the case of vodka hearts, they should flow off of the still at 95%. In the case of Brum and whiskey hearts, they flow off about 80%. 80% meaning that they still have flavor. At 95%, most of the flavor is gone out of, and that makes vodka in that case. The tails that are left are the harsh tasting alcohol that is left over, having some alcohol content in it, but it's very harsh tasting and it smells like wet cardboard or a wet dog. So that part we allow to go down the drain. And hopefully it sterilizes down there instead of going into a bottle someplace.
Well, what happened was on the bottom of the still, there's what we call a butterfly valve. And sometimes if you close that butterfly valve too much or too far, it actually opens up again. And once the pot heated up, it started dribbling out of the bottom through that butterfly valve and started making a big puddle on the floor, as you saw. So quickly adjusted that butterfly valve and started cleaning up the mess.
So anytime we're proofing an alcohol down, you have to make sure you agitate or stir it really well. And all of our mixing tanks have motors with rotor paddles on them. You know, I'm old-fashioned. I like to do it the way I learned how, which is with an actual paddle. The paddle I use is a paddle that I actually carved myself from a tree that was hit by lightning at my grandfather's cabin. I've had that thing since, I don't even know how old I was when I carved the thing, in my 20s probably. It's been around, it's got a lot of history, a lot of memories associated with it, and it works, I think, better than a mechanical motor. When we take our alcohol that's coming off the still at high proof and get it down to the percentage that we need to bottle, it's a process that has to be exact. And if you don't have proper agitation during that, the alcohol will actually float to the top of the tote and the water will sink to the bottom of it. And it's supposed to mix all together, so you get this homogenized mixture that's exactly the same percentage alcohol, but if you don't agitate it, if you don't end up mixing it, it's not going to do that.
Proof is double whatever the percentage of alcohol is. Here in Canada, we have to use metric ones for Revenue Canada, so this is in kilograms per cubic meter. And then we got to do a whole bunch of conversions off these metric measurements and come back to percent alcohol. So it's a little bit more complicated to use the metric system for measuring alcohol than it is for using the imperial system that the American guys use. It's one of the few times where metric isn't as easy as imperial. That and wrenches. Once I get this down to the proper percentage, then we'll add our back set to it, which is a bunch of our molasses and water mixture that we started out with before we did our fermentation process.
When we mix up our molasses water mixture at the beginning, we take a barrel of it and set it aside, and we mix that back in at the end. And it's a pretty common practice in rum manufacturing. But there's some sugar and there's molasses in it and that sort of thing. So when we're doing our calculations to get to 40% alcohol, we have to factor in that barrel that we're going to add in. So there's some math involved here. I'm glad I didn't sleep during that class in high school.
So as we do at the end of every show, we got to blow something up for those guys down south there. Let me know what you think about this little lawn tractor blowing up. See you next week. Holy, there it comes! Oh! Do I look like I'm ready to jump in this thing and take off?
You look like Bubbles.
Bubbles.